We know there are people who demand change, but we also know that there are people who are satisfied with the current situation. That will bring me back to the story of Arab Spring. With all what my colleague Antoine said or talked about in the Arab world, I strongly believe that we should study each case separately. I am not sure who first started the Arab Spring term. Always have to remember that the Arabs are not the same. There are 22 countries, there are 22 head of states. Among them, there are royals, kings. And those kingdoms will not fall that easy. In Yemen also, we need to look at the root of the current or the latest crisis. Earlier, the country has always been in crisis for the last 33 years. Even the president who's running the country will not hesitate admitting that, look, when he is interviewed by media people, look, I am dancing on the snakes of heads. I am dancing on the heads of snakes. Yeah. That means in the Yemen, the situation is unique, and it's when you look at it carefully. We have the tribal leaders in Yemen who continued to believe that they have the right to run the country. For that, although the situation has been always difficult for the general public, the country, the president and the tribal leaders were able to shut mouths and do business as usual. They claim that in Yemen there is freedom of press. There are more than 20 political parties, but all those press and political parties, even opposition parties, are very weak. We have a regime that continued to keep the country ruled by tradition rather than modern way of life. We also have, on the other hand, tribal leaders who think that they should share power with the president, with the government. And in the meantime, we have an opposition movement which is so weak, convinced the regime and the tribal leaders that we are tough and we can change you. We know for the time being, for many years, the president used to run the country in partnership with the tribal leaders. The latest crisis, there has been division among those partners. Part of the tribal leaders went with the youth movement, trying to support them, but part of them are sticking with the president because they are afraid of losing everything. This is when we look at what is happening inside Yemen. We now have another aspect, another factor in the problem, is the foreign one. So that the Americans have interest in Yemen, especially since September 11, trying to target Al-Qaeda members or those who have any contact with them. Al-Qaeda members or any supporter in Yemen who follow or support Al-Qaeda, he is wanted by the Americans. For that, the regime has been fully cooperating with the Americans. And for that, the Americans are not really happy to say radical change in Yemen. With the Americans, we also have the neighbors in Saudi Arabia and the Gulf countries who are also worried about the situation in Yemen. And they don't want to see President Saleh go suddenly. That's why they started to mediate. They initiated an initiative to hand over power to his vice president, just to make the people, the protesting, happy, but not to change regime. So, I'm sure you all remember, President Saleh was attacked in his palace 3 weeks ago. He lost 10 of his bodyguards. Those who were with him were injured. almost top people in the country.
で国のトップ
That was supposed to be a good reason for a change to happen.
でこれが
But nothing happened until today.
でも今
They still, as I started earlier, they still expecting him to come back
で
and to hand over to his president, to his vice president.
で
In the meantime, I'm not sure, again, if this would make the protesters happy.
ただそういった
So, my feeling, as I always say, we will have to wait a little bit.
少し
That means the Arab Spring will be too late in Yemen,
で
and we might see Arab summer and maybe Arab autumn.
春だと
Thank you very much.
ありがとうございます。